Just don't bring a chair, anybody.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll let you sit.
All right, recognized guests.
I'm here with Pike Industries. I've been working with Jason on some bids and didn't know if he's gonna present them tonight or not, so I figured I'd be here in case there was any questions.
Okay. What's your name?
Joe Montang,
How you spell the last name?
Montagme.
Do we want to go over that?
Do we have any questions concerning that? I don't know whether we can.
No, I don't. We don't have any questions. We are going to discuss them later. But,
So no decisions,
oh,
public decisions will be made.
Public decisions probably will be made tonight on who we
Go with, yeah.
Yes.
So you're gonna do that in like executive session or something?
I think it'll be an open meeting on that.
I mean, it's not a secret.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can do it now if you want.
Okay.
So yes, Jason got 3 bids. Pike, Hungerford Paving, and Hutchins. Pike's came in at $86.50 a ton. Hungerford's came in at $89.50, and Hutchins came in at $89.40 a ton. So Pike's came in at the lowest, and that's the one Jason recommended we go with, because we've dealt with Pike in the past, and they came in at the lowest.
We used them last year.
Yeah, incorrect. So I guess my recommendation would be we go with Jason's hand the lowest, and then go with Pike.
I'll make a motion to follow through with Jason's suggestion, your suggestion, while we
Okay.
go ahead and use Pike.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Here none, motion passed.
Another question if I could.
Okay.
Did you guys decide on any amount? He had a bunch of them he had in quote. And doesn't matter, it's the same price for everything.
We have a budgeted amount, and we're applying for a grant. So we have budgeted 200,000.
Okay.
If we get the grant amount, it'll likely be double that. So we'll
Just have to figure out the budget for that.
yeah, we're working. So that's the best answer we can give you.
Good enough for me?
Okay.
Well, thanks for getting me out of here soon.
Yes.
Have fun, guys. Thanks again.
Well, Andre, we're just starting with gas, so I'm working my way around the room. You walk in, so
I'll wait my turn.
okay.
I'm here, I'd like to go into your executive session at the end, because we have a couple legal zoning issues to talk to the board about.
Okay. Carl.
I'm here for the meeting, but I do have one question.
Okay.
Well, actually, 2.
Okay.
Last meeting, I asked about how do you build somebody that just had sewer? And I was told nobody just has sewer, but Nick Weatherby does have just sewer.
So it was added after I left, yeah.
Okay.
So there was never a water bill ever sent to that house out.
Yeah,
So how do you guys bill for that?
Kylie said she does just a fixed rate for them.
That's fine for Nick because he's just one guy, but later on, if there's a family in there, that would be fair to the rest of the people if they don't have a meter.
Okay.
You guys are in the process of revisiting all that anyway, right? So that's something that can be addressed. I mean, like
Yeah, we haven't got to the fees part yet.
but come up with a framework for something like that.
Then one other thing, in the back of my house, a generator was installed a few years ago. The town generator for the school,
Yeah.
for a grant that they got. And the agreement was when they put it, it's on the property line, they put some shrubs there, they would keep them trimmed, and it's time to get them trimmed. They're getting pretty bushy, and I usually had Jeff Goin would trim them.
Okay.
Maybe I could ask him again, or somebody else.
Will that fall under our, I guess that goes to Kristen, right?
Yeah.
And the mowing and parks, is that?
Where is the generator? Is that the school's generator?
Yeah,
That's the town.
when you go up to the school, it's on the left bordering Carl's.
School maintains the generator. but
Oh, the
it's on
town
school
maintains.
property.
But it's
Yes,
on
the
school
town,
property.
yeah, town maintains it, but it's on school property.
Yeah, I guess that would come under,
Actually, Sherry, I don't know. I'm not sure who falls under generators, because I know she followed
Yeah.
through the generators down at the station, so I don't know.
So we'll figure it out,
Yeah.
though, Carl, and
Yeah.
get it done.
So just let me know and I'd get somebody to do it, or, I mean, the town pays for it. Jeff Cohen used to do it, whatever needed it, but I don't know if he still does it,
well,
or,
we have Deer Run,
Yeah.
they would do it.
I'm gonna say Deer
Yeah.
Run probably do it for
Yeah.
cost.
Yeah.
it's not an easy trim job, because it's pretty, it's on a steep hill, they put it right on the line, so.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you wanna reach out to Deer Run, Kristen?
Mm-hmm.
Kristen, it doesn't need to be done today or tomorrow, but
No. I'll
this
go.
summer will be fine.
All right, that's it, Carl?
Yep, that's it.
You're
with the county.
okay. And-
Brian Grandchamp,
Yeah.
I'd like to know what John Libby's job is. Define it.
He's the zoning administrator, right?
Yeah? Well, what about going around checking on the places that are dumps, junkyards?
Are you, so do you have a specific question in mind?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did the reappraisal of all of the town, right?
Yep.
Now they're gonna raise their taxes another 4%
The,
overall, correct?
that's, correct me if I'm wrong, the appraisal's not tied, the reappraisal has, the 4% is based on last
It's
year's,
based on the budget.
on the budget.
Right.
And the reappraisal amount hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So you,
When's it due?
it's supposed to be in April, right?
Yeah, April, yeah.
I was told April 1st, but
Well, I mean, but it doesn't, but your tax rate is based on last year's tax rate, correct?
We haven't even set the tax rate yet,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I mean, estimating the tax rate using last year's grand list, it's
Yeah.
gonna be
Of 4%.
4%.
Or whatever it was, yeah, I don't think it was 4%.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite that much.
Yeah.
well, they did the reappraisal and all this stuff, and it's like, so if I put my house up for sale tomorrow, am I gonna get that market that they praised it for the town? Living what I'm living next to?
Can you tell me where you live?
Yeah, 93 North Ave, around the corner.
Okay, and where, I don't know streets well in town, so,
It's right behind like Green Gables, you go off that.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I mean, they're living in a camper next to me. The backyard from my bedroom window is a disaster, and the front porch is a disaster. They got 25, 30 bags of garbage on there. And it just don't cease. It's like, so what do? Sell my house to the town because they won't do nothing to that property?
so what have you attempted so far?
Attempted, this has been over a year, 2 years.
Okay,
Been going on. I talked to him several times on the phone.
I say it's in the courts now. This stuff takes a long time. It doesn't happen instantly.
so what have you been working on, John, to remedy it?
Well, I came to you guys and asked if I could turn the cases over to the attorney, and you said yes, and she's working on it. As you know, it takes a long time. This court business does not go through in a few months. As you know, we've had other cases.
Take it right up by there.
So,
You guys are on the board, ride around these streets.
Oh, I know.
See what, instead of, sitting here and nobody knows anything about the towns, but they raised our taxes.
The tax rate.
Let me,
the
you stay at
increase-
my place for a week and you tolerate what I tolerate. We try to keep our place decent,
I understand that, Brian.
yeah? It's been going on for 3 years now, since they moved in. It's like, where the town goes by there with their eyes closed?
No, we know where it is, and I know there's a bunch of other places like that.
Yeah, and it's
But
like,
there's only so much you can do, as John said, it gets held up in court, there's only so much you can do. We're not law enforcement, we approved to go move forward and spend the money on a lawyer to do something about this. As far as that goes, I think our hands are tied as a board.
so the town still can't send them a letter or nothing, or no other people that
they've
run
had
in there?
letters. They've had letters that have been, they did not respond to them, correct?
Yeah.
So then it's been ramped up to the attorney then sends them a letter and gives them a time to rectify the problem. If they still don't, then the board's going to approve, till they go to environmental court, and that's where you start getting in with, if they still don't do anything, then they could be subject to fines. So, but it's time, and I understand your
Yeah, it
frustration.
is.
It's very frustrating to be next
So
to.
when we put up a 6-foot fence right on the property line, I don't wanna hear the town bitch.
You can do it on the side, up to a certain, there's,
Well, it's,
You were-
get me in compliance then,
yeah,
because I ain't gonna, you know,
I understand that, and
throw it
John,
back into the court system, have them send me a letter, the way this is being handled, right?
So you can do it, like Rowena is saying, you can put up a fence, just make sure you get the right permitting and you're fine. That we can help you do.
Yeah, but I just don't understand it, so me spend money for privacy and to keep my property looking decent, you guys will approve that. And I
Unfortunately,
say, this didn't start yesterday.
I
It's
know,
been going on 3 years now.
we have other properties in town that we've been.
Yeah, I know there is.
And it's not a quick process, you know, we have, the one that I think is just coming to a conclusion has been multi-year. And, I mean.
In multi thousands of dollars the town has
So,
spent.
you don't, I mean, we can't, like he said, probably tens of thousands. And, I mean, we've put the time and effort into that, and we're putting the time and effort into this. It's just a time-consuming process, and it gets to a point where it's out of our hands for a while.
And unfortunately, we're done with the COVID thing now, but for a long time, we weren't able to do a lot because of the COVID.
I mean, we're definitely sympathetic, there are limits to our power as a select board member, to make this stuff happen quickly.
Yeah,
And we apologize for that.
you know, it just seems to me like they're driving by there, or not even going by there. Like I say, it's been the last 3 consecutive years that it's been going on, and nothing's ever been done to it until I've said something, even the neighbors,
Okay.
There's getting to be so much of it around town.
Yeah, it is, it's getting
Like a
sick.
little piece of property the town owns by the Troy Street Cemetery, that looks like a city dump.
Yeah.
They just dump stuff over that bank, it's horrible, especially from the cemetery,
And is this,
town property.
no, I know what you're talking about. Is your property tenant owned or?
No, we own the house.
No, I meant not your, the property.
No.
They're private property.
Private property.
And that's the hard part right there. When I step into a fire scene, I go into a rental property, there's things that can be done through the fire marshal about that. But when you walk into a private property, and there's a few in town that I'm well aware of that need work, but it's hard to do anything because it's privately owned. And Joey will speak for that, he's been in those situations as well.
Yeah. Well, and another thing, like 3-4 years ago, I had my camper in my dooryard, had it plugged in, had the slide outs out, getting ready to go to Loudon, New Hampshire. 3 days later, I get a certified letter from the town saying that I'm in compliance, that I can't be living in it, and it was too close to the road. I had it plugged in, I was vacuuming it out, so we could take it to Loudon that weekend. And it didn't take them long to send me a certified letter.
You have that letter still?
No, I don't. And that was the second time I got a letter out on my camper.
I've had a camper up to my place.
And it was, right now, it's probably 20 feet off the road, it was in my driveway. We had it plugged in to the outside outlet, put the slide outs out, so we, vacuum it out, and we're heading loud.
Yep. So, yeah, as far as we're doing what we can, our hands are tied, so. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
Joey, do you have anything? No, I'm just here. Okay. All right.
Yeah, you're gonna go back to Andre.
Andre, yeah, thank you.
I'm still here, huh? Okay.
Sorry about that, Andre.
I hope to have some good news for the town soon. I can't go into depth in it, but we've been working real hard in collaboration with the state police and the drug task force. That's all I can say at the moment, so I'm really tickled about that, I think.
Good.
We'll see something soon.
Good.
On the second agenda is youth vandalism. I want to talk a little bit about that.
Yes.
We had an incident where recently, about a month ago, some youth toppled the tree down at the The playground, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's been repaired,
Okay.
and it's actually more sturdier than it was.
I saw the video and I don't really think it was fully intentional, but
But
Yeah.
but what I wanna talk about is, what I'd like to do is set up some kind of program with the town regarding the youths. When things like this happen, work with the parents and have them collaboratively repair some of this stuff, and I don't know how we can go about that, but I think it would be productive. In this particular situation, it was, I thought, real productive. Father and son went down, et cetera, and it helped them bond, but it also made the young man feel good that he was doing something, even though it was his own
yes,
his own doings, but it's part of the maturing and growing process.
yes.
And I think things like this can prevent other things.
Yes.
It's not always gonna be perfect. The youth, there's a lot of unsupervised kids in this town.
Yes.
So I'd like the select board to think about that, and we can work collaboratively with that.
That would be something I would support.
I don't have any answers on how to set it up, but it would be a contact when these things happen, where I could go to and bring the parent, et cetera, because parents need to be more involved in some of the cases.
Yes.
Some of them they are, and it's not a problem. In this particular case, there was no problem. Parents are really cooperative, so just something to think about, maybe we can talk about it the next meeting.
Okay. Thanks.
Anything from the town for the sheriff's office?
I thought you were gonna mention some of the graffiti I've seen recently popping up around town.
I haven't noticed, and sometimes I have blinders on. I gotta be honest with you, I'm incredibly busy.
Yeah, well,
And I sometimes, but having said that, I know when I was working in Fairfax, set up a program with the town, and I caught some of these youngsters doing graffiti, they had to clean it up.
same concept then.
Same kind of
If you
concept.
talk to the person behind me, they were a group of kids that were after our fire truck down behind the old town barn that were caught. And I know who exactly the kids are. I think they're tied to the graffiti. There's some other Dollar General, and I noticed some of the signs around town.
Yeah, that's right as you come into town by Jolly's, been recently painted.
I haven't seen it, I'm embarrassed.
No, that's fine.
I went in this village garage because I got a phone call from one of the residents that lives up that way. Called me and said kids were trying to smash windows out of that ladder truck up there. So I pulled in the yard and I gave a little hoot out and they all came running over to me. And that was the end of that subject. They told them to get out of the yard and don't come back. And
Okay,
they
I'll follow up.
apologized, huh?
I'll follow up with you later then.
Yeah, they all live on Thomas Street and Highland Ave area.
Okay.
We had one last minute visitor. Who do we have?
Joe Obit, up on Center Street, 23 Center Street. Little late, sorry.
No, it's fine.
So, I don't know if there's like, never been to one of these good things, but the reason I'm here is I'd like to see something done with the drug problems we have.
Well, we were just talking about that.
So,
Andre,
20
Andre, do you want to reiterate what you just were telling us?
I've spoken to Joe,
Oh, you spoken to Joe?
and he's aware.
Okay.
I can't go into details again, but there are plans in place, that's all I can say.
yeah, so, as I've said, I'm 23, 27's probably one of the biggest ones we have. I have video proof of it.
Yeah.
Cops haven't done anything, not saying it's not the cops, obviously there's pro-seizures or whatever, obviously I know that. But it's to the point where me and the family are literally thinking of selling our house because of it. We own our house, 27 rents, obviously I know that's not the case for everybody or whatever the case may be. But it's to the point where I don't even have my daughter sleeping in her room because they're cooking next door. And her room is right on top of their house, so if something does happen, she's gonna be the first one to go. And like I said, it's to the point where the kids, I work 70 hours a week. Whenever the kids wanna go to a playground, we literally leave Richford just to go to a playground. Obviously, I know there's drug problems everywhere, but I literally go out front of my house and find needle caps on the floor. I mean, I'm not I don't even let my kids play out front of my house, they play out back. Obviously, I know there's nothing somebody can just snap a finger and do, but I just wanna see, as a town, as a community, you know, we need to do something. The only ones that are gonna really suffer in the end is our youth at this rate. And yeah, I've heard by state police, sheriffs, oh, we're doing this, or I get it. But how long do we gotta wait? How long before that house blows up and then my house and anybody that's in it is gone? His house is right across the road. We all know what happens if drug houses blow up whenever they're cooking. It's not gonna be just one house, especially this close as our houses are. So that's the reason I'm here.
And to echo what Mr. Everett had to say is, I've heard the same story from at least a dozen other town residents, and I'm just as frustrated too, because we are working, and we're working hard, but it takes time, again, you don't want to hear, it takes time, but it does take time. We know where the operations are going and who's doing what, but knowing and having the evidence to bring somebody into court are two separate things.
I worked across the street from that house for a month and a half. And I tell you what, there was more traffic in and out of there than there was at the health center.
Yep.
And when they come out, they flip their hoodies up, and they walk away. You know,
So they're now aware that I have cameras because I made it very known, and now they will not come out of the house unless they have masks on their face. Yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to say, but I forgot, but.
All right.
Oh,
Go ahead.
also, as they know, my cameras are on, they know that part. There was an incident where their kids got taken away. Just to add on to the frustration I have of this is, another reason why I do not let my kids go out front is because every time we go to our car, if they're walking by, we're harassed because our names were on affidavits.
Okay.
So we're being harassed, threatened, and all that stuff as well. Just yeah.
Is there anything can be done about that, Andre?
Well, I don't know about your names being on an affidavit, because I was the one that provided the information for that particular case to DCF for that removal, and I was there that night. And I made it clear to the people that it was me, not the local residents. The only thing I can say to Joe is what I've said to the board and the people here, is that we have a plan in place, and before the next board meeting, something will be done.
Okay. So you're talking within a 2-week time frame?
I'm telling you, yes. I'm telling you, something will be done in the near future. That's all I will say about it, and I think I said too much about it, because I had a very successful federal career because people don't keep their mouths shut. So I'm asking people in the room tonight of what I said, and I know it's going to be on TTV, but we keep it to ourselves for a while.
Okay.
I hope that makes you feel at least a little bit better. I understand the circumstances. I mean, I don't, but I do.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, like I said, but I've also heard something's gonna be done for months, you know what I mean? I get it, hands are tied, but I've literally been hearing it for 3-ish months.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's happened is police patrol's actually gone down since this has started. I mean, it is what it is, but I just feel like if something is to be done, hopefully sooner than later, I mean, there's nothing really anybody can do about it besides law enforcement, so.
Okay.
And at least the children are safe, right?
For now, it's
important.
I know it's difficult to believe, but there is a very active police presence in town. And it's not, just because you don't see a cruiser, doesn't mean we're not here. There's been a very active police presence in town.
All right. Our last visitor.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go on to discussion of town property.
Okay. Well,
What'd you find out, Alan?
We got the book.
a lot. Between the statutes, and we had a meeting with the town, well, not a meeting, a phone call type meeting, with our attorney about trying to sell some of the properties that the town owns. And I think we're gonna get started on it. We're gonna have to divide these properties up into basically two categories.
Okay.
One category is gonna be properties that were acquired by the town for whatever reason, not by tax sale.
Okay.
And then obviously the other category is gonna be properties acquired through tax sale. With the properties that the town owns that were not acquired by tax sale, what I want to do some research before we do anything with these properties. I want to find out why they were purchased by the town.
Okay.
Was there a reason?
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to the deed where the town acquired the property, and then I'm gonna review select board minutes for 3-4 months prior to that. Find out why the town acquired the property. Because once we sell it, it's gone. If there was a reason we had it, or they bought it, and that reason still exists, then we may not wanna sell it. I just don't wanna screw up and sell something that we need or could use, so I'm gonna do some research on that before we put them up for sale. Now, the process of putting them up for sale, we could go through a realtor.
Okay.
I don't think we need to, because the majority of these properties are gonna be bare land. We could just put it out for bids and take the best offer. With these properties, we keep all of the money from the sale. It's all ours. Kristen at the attorney's office is still looking into two things for me. And this would apply to both non-tax sale and tax sale properties. One is the reporting requirements, if there are any, for these properties. If not, great. The other is going to be restrictions. I know at the last meeting you were talking about putting some restrictions, probably not on the bare land properties, but any properties with a house, if we could put any restrictions on it. And she was going to be doing some research on that. She thought we could put restrictions on it if we want, but she wanted to look into it because she wasn't, what we talked about was what happens if we try to put a restriction on the use of a property when our zoning says you can do something with the property if you meet certain requirements. You know, is there going to be a conflict there?
Yeah.
So she's doing some research on that one. On the tax sale properties, it's going to be considerably more work on those. And that's why I'm thinking it's probably good that we do this incrementally and not try to do all of these at once, because it's going to put quite a lot of work on Kylie, as well as, I guess, me if I'm going to be working on this. Because on those properties, basically, the process is going to be the same. We could put it out for bids, or we could go with a realtor if we wanted, but realtor is going to charge us a commission. We are required on these tax sale properties to sell them for as much as we can get out of the property. Whether we use a realtor or we just put an ad, take the best offer, or an auction, whatever. We're required by law to sell it for the maximum we can. However, we don't get to keep it all.
Okay.
The town only gets to keep what we have invested in the property, which is whatever we purchased it for, tax sale, attorney's fees, If we incurred costs to evict somebody, we can include that. Any other costs associated with our acquisition and maintaining the property, that money we can keep. Any overage, anything over that, has to go back to the original owner. If the original owner's passed away or we can't find them, then I guess we gotta try to track them down, find their family. If they're passed away, the family's gonna have to open up an estate to get the money. There may be some incentive there for them to do that. You know, if they know all they gotta do is talk to an attorney, you know, spend a few $100 and they might get a few thousand. They might do it, I don't know. They would have to open up an estate. And then once they do that, we could turn the money over to them. In the meantime, we have to hang on to that money. It has to be accounted for by us. It has to be basically held until we figure out who to give it to. And if it's a case where we can't track down the previous owner, they have no family here, we can't set up an estate, we've got to go through the process of sending that money to the state of Vermont for unclaimed property.
Okay. What is the time frame on that? You know, it's not my question.
I don't know. So like I say, that part of it, the accounting part of it, and dealing with all of that.
Would that be part of, like, paying Kylie, like, to do everything she has to do? Would that money also go to support that?
No. As far as the actual sale itself, however we sell these properties, whether through a realtor or we just put it out for bids, we need to clearly say that we're selling the properties as is. And we're not really in a position to make any warranties whatsoever regarding asbestos in the properties, lead paint in the properties. So there may be some disclosures that if we agree to sell a property to someone, if it's bare land, we don't need to worry about that. But if it's a house, there might be a disclosure basically saying, we don't know. We're selling this property to you as it is. We don't know if there's lead paint or asbestos in the property, so we're gonna have to deal with that. As far as the actual transfer, she said we really should do it by a quitclaim deed, which I would suggest anyway, because we acquired it through tax sale. We are not really in a position to make any warranties as far as the quality of that title. So she said we just do a quitclaim deed. That's basically it. Oh, she's still looking into any reporting if we do have to return money to a previous owner. She doesn't think we have to do a 1099 for them. But she was just going to check on that for her. So I think right now, kind of got the process nailed down. I'm gonna probably, at the next meeting, be able to come to you with, I think we want to sell the Center Street or for our street property.
Yeah.
I'll start putting together the numbers. I'm gonna have to look up all the invoices for what we paid to clean it out, what we paid to evict the people, what we paid for at tax sale, and
What about lost revenue for like water that you weren't able to?
That doesn't pay water.
would not try to get
You wouldn't try
lost.
to get that.
No. I think she said what our costs were.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, we lost some revenue, but it wasn't money out of our pocket.
Okay.
So I think what she meant by that was we can recover what we spent on the property.
Okay.
So I was gonna bring that one for sure. It's gonna take some time to get all these numbers together. And then I'll try to get a couple others.
That one's probably the freshest one, it'd be the easier one to do, to start out with.
Yeah.
And what, do you have any ballpark idea of what the number of properties that fall into each category, or too early?
I don't know. I suspect the majority of them are gonna be tax sale properties. There may be a few the town acquired for one reason or another, but I think the majority of them are gonna be by tax sale, which is kind of good in a way. I won't have to go into the select board minutes from 20 years ago and try to figure out why the town bought a property, but
And do you know what the Priest block was, just out of curiosity?
I don't know. I don't know how that was acquired.
That was a tax sale
So,
from the Johnson guy.
like I say, I'll try to get that one on Center Street and a couple others, and then it might be a case where we just do 2 or 3 every year. It's gonna be a lot of work for Kylie.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of work for us too.
And because we're required to get as much as we can, we couldn't give a property away.
Not a tax sale.
We mentioned that to her, and what I got from it was, no, we couldn't. She suggested that some places like Habitat for Humanity will actually buy the property.
Oh, really?
So, but what I got from it was we can't give it away, no. We're required to get
Yeah, okay.
all we can for it. And there is a process for it. This isn't gonna happen quickly, even once we have a buyer. We have to post it in the newspaper at least once within a 30-day period prior to the conveyance of the property. We have to post it in 3 public places for 30 days prior to the conveyance. And if somebody doesn't agree with the sale and they want to do a petition, they can do so, and we could, at that point, we'd have to put it up to the voters to decide if they want to sell the property or not.
I got a couple questions. In order to sell a property, you gotta get permission from the voters to sell it, because the voters own it.
No.
You don't? You can sell anything?
As long as we get as much.
2 years ago, you sold a Billadu house for $11,000. You said last meeting you didn't recover anything the town had invested into it. So why didn't anybody take the time back then when they sold that house compared to what you're doing now? That family lost out on a lot of money, because that house is worth probably $100,000.
You would have to ask the select board then. I was town clerk.
You sold it, Helen, so. You guys didn't, you can do the legal work now, but you didn't do the legal work on that house.
I wasn't on the select board. They
You were in
told me
charge of
what
the
they were
tax sales.
doing, and
South Lazy passed the buck to somebody else.
Okay, is that all you have for this?
yeah, that's all for the properties.
Okay. So we'll move on to the next discussion of A1 structure. I believe you have paperwork from what Kylie told me.
What's that?
I believe you have paperwork from what Kylie told me.
Yeah, I got all kinds of issues with this. I saw the email that was sent to Kylie today. The girl was basically telling her that they don't put the interest rate in their financial documents, which, how the hell can they not put the interest rate in their finance document?
It's kind of like a contract, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, I'm worked my whole life in banking, and I've always been told you have to disclose an interest rate and an APR and what it's costing to borrow this money. Frankly, I think it's bullshit that they're not giving us an interest rate. When I took the numbers that they gave us for the amount we're borrowing, the cost of the...
Proposing to borrow.
Proposing. When I look at the cost of the stretcher, and I take this extended warranty and the freight and all of that, if I just base what we're paying for interest, we're paying almost $6,000 interest on this. On a $26,000 stretcher, that's 21% interest rate.
Might as well put it on your credit card.
Yeah, or worse. And then if I take, what I did was I also took this warranty, added that to the cost of the stretcher, and thinking maybe they're charging interest on that too, brings it down to 18%. There's no way we gotta pay 18% interest on this stretcher. That is just, to me, totally unacceptable. And the fact that they won't put the interest rate in writing anywhere, they're telling Kylie 6%, but they're not willing to put it in writing? No, no.
Now, look at the hidden clause somewhere.
That thing needs to be torn up, and we need to be looking at financing somewhere else. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I know-
Last I knew, the usury limit in Vermont was 18%. So I'm thinking that they're probably charging us interest on this warranty as well as the cost of the lease, which brings it down to 18%. And they're charging us the maximum they can legally charge us. But I don't know about charging interest on this warranty. The warranty's $7,000 on a $26,000 stretcher?
We pay it every year now,
That's crazy.
but we pay it now, on the one we have now,
It's a,
every year.
it's a service.
Just service, they come every year to maintain it. If the batteries fail, the batteries are $900 for 2 batteries, batteries fail. If we bend the suspension on it for some reason, because we overload it with a heavy patient, the suspension is $3,500 and we don't pay for any of those parts. They just come up and maintain it, it's all free parts and labor. It's worth it, it's worth the deal for the labor. That's 6 years at like 12 or 1300 a year, which is what we pay now for the one we already have.
But is this warranty good forever, or is it?
Every year you pay it, every year. We already have, it's a contract, it's not a warranty, it's a service contract, like we have on our monitors, like we have on our other stretcher. This way here, if we don't do this, and say the stretcher fails, the town's liable for that failed stretcher. If this is, so they put a sticker on it, says it was maintained and certified again, every year they maintain it and certify it, just like our monitors. That's what that is.
I still think that's a ridiculous number, $7,000 on a $26,000 stretcher. And even if you accept that, that still only brings it down to 18%. That's,
I was gonna ask you, Alan, you require a stretcher through a grant and,
through VLCT.
Yep.
okay. That grant, is that the one that's being used right now for the town crew to acquire safety?
No, that's all, that's limited to like $5,000 a year.
Yeah.
It used to be every year you could apply for one of these grants with
Yeah,
VLCT
this
for a
is-
stretcher.
This is something that's available to every town every year for safety equipment. But it's not anywhere near big enough to purchase that.
But at the beginning of the year, could we get a VLCT grant for the stretcher? They must have money available now.
I can ask them, yeah, about what they have.
But even still, even if we can't, 18%, it's just.
And they're not allowing us to do our own financing, is that what they're trying to
Well,
do?
this is where I was going with it. Did you do something with the revolving loan the last time?
That was the monitors.
I don't think we did, but we could certainly look at doing that in this case and save the
That
taxpayers
would
the
be-
money.
Then we'd budget it to pay a yearly payment, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's money in that just sitting there. You know, we could, do 1% or whatever and save us a few $1,000s.
Okay.
We'd have to convene the revolving loan fund committee and do all.
So what are you proposing right now? We try to negotiate with them for a better, for more disclosure and and actually find out if it's 6%? Or are you saying,
I'd say bag financing altogether.
is that an option?
We should not be signing any document with no interest rate.
No, I get that.
And I think we just get rid of the financing.
Is-
Maybe we keep the stretcher and talk some more about the warranty. To me, that seems like awful lot of money for a $26,000 stretcher, a $7,000
But
warranty.
it's not a warranty, it's a service contract.
It's a service contract
But
with-
maybe if
with
we keep
recertified.
that, let's keep this,
Yeah.
maybe still do the stretcher with them, but let's look at the financing some other way other than through
I
that.
agree, we need to, no, I don't wanna pay interest like that.
No.
If we can, I guess right now, that's the only option I'm seeing, is if you want a low interest and the town of Richford or the revolving loan fund would be willing. I would approach that.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
I think we should just forget this financing altogether. Not forget the stretcher, but
Yeah.
financing, no.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't understand how this girl could tell Kylie 6% when the numbers,
Don't add.
that makes no sense according to these numbers.
So what do we have to do to request the board, the role revolving?
Just let us know, and I've been calling the meetings for the last couple of years, so I'll call a meeting,
Okay.
and if Alan's gonna be representing the town, he can come up with a plan, what he wants, and
I think we set a certain amount, because it was discussed about getting a stretcher per year, and I wanna say it was either 7,000 or
I
8,000.
think it's around 8,000 for the side.
So, I, no,
So you can do the math and make it work.
okay,
So I make a
it
motion.
should, I don't think it would be a problem.
okay, okay.
Alright, I'll make a motion that we seek funding for the stretcher, through the revolving loan fund.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
And as long as we're on the subject of leases, I'm not gonna say what I'm about to say for anything that happened in the past. I think going forward, I'm thinking in terms of just transparency and being open about what we were, what we are doing as a board. I think any type of financing like this should come to the whole board for approval before it's signed and
Just to review documents.
review documents, and, the more people you have looking at stuff, the better it is. And like I say, no criticism of anything that may or may not have happened in the past, but going forward, I think it's important to have it in the minutes that the board reviewed financing for whatever and approved it. And so anybody having questions about it can find it.
Agreed. Okay. So that's it for the stretcher. Now we'll be looking for approval of minutes on 3/16/23 and 3/20/23. I was not at the meeting on 3/16.
I called that meeting, so I'll make the motion to accept the meeting minutes for 3/16. And if we're going at it, I'll do the minutes for 3/20.
Okay, I'm going to abstain from the 3/16 because I wasn't here, but I was here for the 3/20. You understand where I'm going with that?
Yep.
Okay, so you made a motion, Molly?
Yep.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
So who's gonna second 316 ones? Do you see me?
Oh, yeah, I can second, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get you going there.
You have a second for the?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay.
316.
All those in favor said aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
For the 320, same thing, or?
Yeah. Well, Andy could do that one,
Yeah.
second.
Right, so you seconded it, and then,
Yeah.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. Update from the town administrator.
I got a few things. First, this came to me from the listers. This is a letter. So this was dated today, April 3rd, and they said, our network assessors are expecting the publishers/printers of Richford's official notice of the 2023 reappraisal to be ready to do a certificate of mailing approximately May 1st to every registered property owner. This reappraisal booklet will also be property owners' only notice of reappraisal and the option to grieve their new assessments. To stay on schedule, we need to ensure the treasurer can cut a check to the USPS once they notify us of the amount and when. To this end, please authorize the treasurer to cut said check not to exceed $3,000 to the United States Postal Service for postage and the certificate of mailing. These funds will need to be taken out of the lister's reappraisal fund. Please note the actual publishing charges for the 1,100 booklets will be billed separately to the town, and those charges will also need to come through the Listers Reappraisal Fund. Would you kindly approve this, a motion on this subject and sign below so the treasurer may have it ready? Richford Listers.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
And then I'll just have all you, yeah, the dotted lines for you all to sign there. And while we continue to sign things, I'll bring these out. This is for, these two documents are for the highway paving grant that you want me to help apply for the town. The first one that I'll pass around is, this is the certification of compliance for town road bridge standards and network inventory. So saying that we meet those standards, which, and last time we reviewed this, which was last year, so it says the select board adopted that on July 15th, 2019. So this is just certifying that again. It's a yearly thing for the paving grant. And then the next one is also for the paving grant. It's the TA 60 form, which is the annual financial plan for the town highway. Has numbers on front, and then the back, the second page you can sign. I gotta flip back through my notes. I ran out of paper on my first notebook, so I gotta had to improvise a little bit with what I'm using. As I emailed all you the other day, we did receive the Transportation Alternatives Program grant. So that's for the scoping study from, pretty much to see if we could, if it's feasible to run a sidewalk from, I guess, Jolly's, from the Pinnacle to the elementary school. So we did receive funding for that. So that'll be something they said they will reach out within the next couple weeks to talk about further. So that's all I have for that. Rail trail extension work. Wally, I, and Sherry have to review some engineering firm proposals. It's kind of a confusing thing to explain, so we need a new firm to help design the rail trail proposal, which is already pretty much done as it is, but our contract expired and the company that initially had the contract got absorbed by a bigger firm. And they, as of right now, do not have the capacity to fulfill, to keep it going. So what I was told from our project manager from the state, who's helping me walk through this, we would have to review proposals that from other engineering firms that the state receives for helping municipal governments with planning different operations that the engineering firm would do. So he told me that there has to be 3 of us to review. So Wally, Sherry, and I have been working on this project. So he said it would be okay for us to review proposals from new engineering firms. And then once we review them, we pick one, and then we ask them if they would be willing to take on the project. So that's theoretically how it's supposed to go. So we're in the stage of reading through these proposals, which are on the state's website. and pick one from there.
Okay.
So, we're gonna, yeah, I sent Wally and Sherry the website, we just kind of have to pick which ones we wanna do, which we were supposed to do tonight, but Sherry did not end up making it, so we'll have to reschedule for a meeting on that.
Okay.
Last one, so for our park and ride grant, tomorrow, there's gonna be a site visit with the engineer, at between 10:30 and 11, to start going over that to meet the state's Title 22 requirement, which is, Title 22 is for historical dig or archaeology digs, and it's, what they want is just like a little plan saying we're not gonna go outside the boundaries of the existing lot, of the parking lot that's already there. So that's what the engineering plan is supposed to be for.
Okay.
So that's going on tomorrow. And that's all I have. I also have the updates for Sherry for buildings, because
Okay.
she's not here, but we can do them when we get there.
All right. Wally, do you have a lot left on?
No, I just have a couple things. Well, we did the paving, and then, Jason asked, we did take possession of the new town truck, last Friday. So we have that. And Jason asked me to bring up a topic I think has been discussed in the past, didn't get a lot of traction. Spring cleanup, debris cleanup is coming up, and he wants the board to entertain the idea that all spring, we'll pick it up, but it has to be in recyclable paper bags. His concern is that right now it's very time consuming and labor intensive. You know, people just throw it out on the street. It requires the town to come around with either a loader and a dump truck. Whereas if it was just bags on the street, paper bags on the street, they could just, one or two guys could go around and just pick it up. So, but it would need, board approval.
Who's responsible for the bags?
That would be the owner, I guess.
A lot of people put out big limbs, well, not big limbs,
Right,
but
and
tree
tree
limbs.
down,
It'd be
yeah.
hard to put them in a bag. I know we sweep the street in front of our house, and we got big piles of the sand they put on the street
Uh-huh.
in the winter. That would be hard to take a lot of bags.
Yeah.
How would you know they weren't putting garbage in it? Household garbage.
Yeah, I don't know. I got this at 5 o'clock on my way here. Said I bring it. I'm sure there are logistics. I don't know.
What is it called, the spring sweep?
Yeah, the town allows is there like a 2-week span or something? What is there, or is there even an official time frame for it?
Yeah, usually does it right around this time in
Yeah.
the spring, and then.
As people clean up their yards and stuff, they can put leaves and piles of leaves and sticks and sand out basically on the side of the street, and the town goes around and picks it all up.
And it's something we are required to do because we have curbside pickup of our trash. The state requires that we have to pick up the yard debris.
And
But, I don't know, we put our leaves in paper bags, and I can understand that. It's the other stuff that I wonder about.
so maybe I need to get more details. I mean, obviously, I understand the sticks and stuff, but maybe I need to work with him for a little finer details. Alright.
Because in the fall, we put our leaves in paper bags, and I know it makes it easier. Well, we try to put as many of them as we can in paper bags, and I know they like it, but.
Okay.
Well, I got a question. Well, like, could you start a program to hire school kids, 2, 3 for the summer to keep the streets clean, like sweeping the streets, instead of that big dusty old thing? I mean, that would make Richford look a lot better and give kids a job. I'd be willing to pay a little more taxes to see that program happen. It used to happen when I was a kid. They would hire 5, 6 of us, and we'd meet at the fire station every day, and we swept the streets, picked up leaves, that's what Richford needs. It would help the town, and give the kids a job. I mean, you guys, the budgets are already done, but
That's something to consider for next year. I don't know. I guess-
everybody always says next year, but it never happens.
I get it.
And that would give them community service if they needed it.
I was gonna say, community service, you can't pay for it, but it'd be something to offer up.
But
Just-
community service is a pretty tricky thing. Years ago, when I was on a board, we had people do community service, they got hurt, and they want a workman's comp. So,
I would get with a teacher, and, because every school kid is required to do X amount of.
through the school,
Yeah.
not through
I would go through
probation
the
and
school,
parole.
I would go through the school.
No, I like what Carl's saying, because it's a very, kids have, you know, it's easier now than it was before COVID, but it's hard for kids to find jobs like.
There is no jobs.
Well, for younger kids. So, and, you know, if it's breaking, if it's sweeping, you know, or whatever,
It fits
there is some
well.
appeal to it, I get it. And it, you know, it would, you know, wouldn't have to probably be any more than minimum wage, and it could be as little as 20 hours a week or something, but it'd be something for those kids to, you know, get up in the morning and do.
Then your streets are gonna look better.
Well, I mean,
They don't look very good right now.
something we can consider. I definitely, there's some appeal to what you're saying.
And the way you sweep the streets now, people really complain because it's so dusty and dirty.
If you wait till sunshine out and the roads are nice and dry, but the next day it'll be raining, you know, they should do it during rain, you know, pick it up a lot better.
Well, I think sometimes it's just logistics. I always swear.
Yeah.
I swear to God, they wait till they grade my road knowing it's gonna rain the next day. I mean, you know, all those potholes that they just filled in, you know, it's basically like filling a pie plate, and then you drive a vehicle through it and it just splashes out. So I mean, I get it. I mean, it's not intentional. I mean, I just think it's what happened. You know, it's just luck of the draw. But I do like that, and I think. I think we could talk, I might talk to Kylie about logistics on it, liabilities. That's the other thing.
Workman's comp.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, the liabilities nowadays are a lot more than they probably were 25 years ago. So that's what we'd have to like reach out about. But I
But
think-
it's something that really should be done.
No, I like the idea of hiring kids and giving them a purpose in the summertime. Give them a sense of community. So,
Even if it was 3 or 4, just to,
yeah, I mean, whether,
Well, don't we have a green up program here in Richford?
not really.
yeah, we do.
We do have a green up.
Well, I mean, it's like one day.
Right.
Yeah, it's
No,
more.
but I heard, I mean, there was somebody that was head of that at town meeting day.
Yeah, but it's a 1 day event.
It's a 1-day event with the green bags.
Yeah, the green
Right,
bag.
but isn't there like
Was
a
that an
network of people
Was that an
that,
going that did that, or I don't remember who was?
Yeah, I think it was in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an all year thing.
It's-
It's a 1 day.
And they usually,
and what about like the beautification that they were talking about, like planting flowers and stuff
Yeah.
like that, like.
Well, if we had more people for beautification, we could do it, but we're
Right.
not, there's
But I
only
think
like.
like thinking about
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
and hiring the kids to.
If, if you're talking about like hiring the kids, maybe check and see if the government has any
grants.
job.
Yeah.
There used to be job
Job
programs that they had that was for the youth, and it was government paid, and they did jobs like sweeping around the community and, you know, weeding places and that.
when do you normally start putting things out?
We start with the flowers is the Friday of June Dairy Day.
Okay. I would suggest, since we have that nice board out front, if you're looking for help, just to ask Kylie if you could put something up there. Just looking for help for beautification.
But for both beautification and the farmer's market, we've tried to get kids from school, and we never can get anybody from their community service.
So maybe if you can, if there are still government programs out there that hire youth to do, you know, there used to be years and years ago was the Comprehensive Training Act would hire the youth during the summer.
Okay.
I had a question for you, Ollie, on the truck. I know that they had talked about with the truck that maybe getting a bed liner on it. Does the new truck that they acquire have a bed liner? Because you had the whole issue with the salt and stuff being a,
I don't believe it has one, but it had it came with the the new spreader, so I didn't look deep into it, but it might be something worth considering.
Spray is better than anything.
Yeah. Plus, it's gonna hold water in the noise.
Okay, I'll mark that down too.
Is that gas or diesel?
It's gas.
Yep. Nice truck.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, well, I had the personnel issue at the end.
we have to go
An
in.
executive, yeah.
All right, buildings.
Alright, go back. Everything's pretty good. For the post office, for the credit union, Connor's had fire marshal and the state plumbing and heating inspection. There were a couple things on there that they wanted us to do. There has to be a low water cutoff added onto our boiler down there, so we got to do that. And then
What does that mean exactly?
I'm not sure.
Big little water cut off, basically, I think what it does is shut down the boiler if it runs out of water.
Oh, so it doesn't become a fire
Same
risk?
thing as your boiler.
So Connor said that they would have someone install that for us, so then we built for it after. And then the other one was, the boilers need to be inspected by our insurance. That is outdated, so. Once the water cutoff gets installed, then we can get that inspected. And then for the fire marshal, running wires through the ceiling in the basement there. They exposed holes, like they drilled holes to get the wires up through, and he wanted to see them filled and covered. So that's something Connors also said that they would be working on. Then over the weekend, the cracked window was replaced in the post office. It was one of the back offices.
Okay.
So that was replaced. I let Bobby in to do that. And then this Friday, I'm gonna have a walkthrough. Me, Sherry, and I will have a walkthrough of the upstairs for like the water damage pieces for the historical preservation grant. Before we could do anything, you have to go around, kind of identify like the major ones for this grant, because technically, because we know that I think the plaster has asbestos in it, so like getting rid of it is, there's special procedures, which that grant cannot help us with. It would be, repairing it after that was remediated. So trying to get a quote on what that would be to get the plaster removed before doing anything else. And that kind of will set the tone of how the grant will move forward. So that's hopefully this Friday, and that's when our schedule is. And I think Sherry told me in the town hall, she said that there were some emergency lights that were not working. So she was gonna get them tested and get those fixed.
I think she mentioned to me batteries just needed to be replaced.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe check the batteries and get them situated.
That's something Thomas is gonna take care of?
I'm not sure if he can. Is that, do you need a certified,
It's just changing
Yeah,
batteries.
so I know, yeah.
Yeah. As long
I guess
as-
that'll be a Sherry question, how that's been
Yeah.
done, handled in the past. I'm not sure.
I don't see an issue with it, because they're just the,
Right. Maybe that is, maybe I'm overthinking it, but, I'll ask Sherry and report on that next time, on how that'll work. But I think that's all we have for the building.
Wasn't there the lady that was here and we're eligible for those 2 grants?
Oh, yeah, yes, you're right, I did meet with her. I had a Zoom meeting with Melina, who came at the last select board meeting to talk about the Municipal Energy Resilience Program grant, which is a $500,000 grant, $500,000 to support municipalities to do energy upgrades. Couple of the big takeaways from that meeting was I think we can do multiple buildings.
Okay.
So we got 2 applications, one for here and one for the post office. That'd be that'd be major. I asked her about electrical upgrades, if that could be a possibility, she said she would look into that one. For town hall, we looked at, you know, heating system, like kind of going through, like combing through everything. She said that'd be great for the grant, you could do like a heating system, or you can, insulation, anything that can help energy upgrades, like those are all qualified. They'll be rolling them out shortly. It might take a couple months to get us to do the energy assessment portion first, because they're still working out the logistics of that, and I'm sure there's going to be multiple communities also looking at that other than us. But we are one of their more competitive, we could be one of their more competitive grant applications because we are a higher consumer of energy in NRPC's eyes and their assessments. So, but we have to do the assessment first, and then with that assessment, they do blower tests, they do all the tests to figure out how, the current state of the building. And then once that's done, then you can qualify for a grant application. And as she said in the meeting, there's no match for this grant.
And it can be more than one building.
Yeah. That's what she told me at that time, so.
Okay.
So hopefully later on, maybe in the summer, that's something we can continue pursuing. I'm interested to see what the assessment is gonna bring.
I'd like to bring another building up. The fire department is a new building, but is, my opinion, over the past years, I think a lot of heat's
We
we lose a lot of heat out of that building.
I'll write that down, maybe I can shoot her an email at it. I mean, if the assessments, if the buildings are in close proximity of each other, they don't mind doing multiple buildings.
Okay.
So that could be something, but again, that could be a couple months out before we get to an assessment, but,
Okay.
yeah. So.
All right. Oh, water and sewer, the only thing that I have is Jeremy bought a little boat for the lagoon because the one that he had prior was damaged. It was talked about apparently last year, so he okayed it with Kylie and I and went and purchased it. I don't know if you knew about that or not, Alan. He got a really good price on it, and Kylie said it was good to go, so. Did you meet last week for?
No.
No? Okay.
Do you want a meeting this week?
I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it this week,
Okay.
but boy, we're creating something good there
Yeah.
with that update.
Yeah.
That's gonna be something I think other towns are gonna wanna look at the stuff we're creating. And we're taking our time, getting a lot of different perspectives on it.
Good discussions.
It is very good.
Good discussions.
We're gonna have something that we can be proud of when we get done. It's gonna take a little time, but. Speaking of the water, have we got the work part of it done? Somebody, I think it was a high school kid. Was
I'll follow up. I followed up once before and it was a work in progress, so.
Because we're almost at the point we're gonna need to start plugging in some of this stuff. And I've actually been looking in, it's a handy little book right here, on what we're gonna need to do when we do get that all done.
Good. You have anything else? Okay. All right. So not this Thursday, so maybe we'll plan on next Thursday. And Michael, please send out a reminder.
Yep.
And I'll remind you.
All right.
Okay. All right, that's all I have for water, sewer, parks, playgrounds, cemeteries report.
Nothing, I mean, with Kylie this week, just to kind of review my job duties and
Okay.
responsibilities, so more to come.
All right. Well, Andre said the piece
Yeah.
of equipment was
Got it.
fixed, so
Yeah.
that's good. Other business, does anyone have anything? I do have a letter from the Lions Club here. Richford Lions Club, March 17th, 2023, to the Select Board. This letter is to inform the Select Board that the Richford Lions Club have voted to not support the fireworks for the 4th of July celebrations for 2023. The cost of the fireworks would be $12,500 for 2 weekends surrounding the 4th of July. This is double the cost from last year and beyond the ability of the club to support. Being a 501 nonprofit organization, the club felt that we should put our resources into the community in other ways. Some of the things the Lions Club does are a scholarship for graduating student every year, support for the community calendar, vision screening at the schools, eyeglasses for financially challenged, and support for the food shelf. We remain open to new avenues to help the community in a meaningful fashion. The town of Richford has budgeted some funds each year to help fund the fireworks. The club received $3,000 last year, 2022, for this year's fireworks. The club voted at the last meeting to reimburse the town of Richford the $3,000 for the canceled fireworks. A check of $3,000 was delivered to the town clerk on March 18th, 2023. Richford Lions Club Secretary Arthur R. Pond. So, I don't know if you want that for. Sure.
Thank you. So no fireworks this year?
No fireworks. And if that's it for other business, we can move forward towards the executive session to discuss personnel. Do I hear a motion to go into executive?
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Hearing none,